Okay, so to continue talking about clothing, this is the principal of my school, or the host school when I was there, and so this is kind of what the males would wear, and so this is what we were dancing in. And these are students that dressed in different clothing from the culture and kind of did like a fashion show for us. Okay, talking about food, every meal or every visit starts with cookies and mint tea. And this is called a tagine, and this is cooked on charcoal, and then there's steam that goes out the top. And so this is how they cook a lot of their meals, and then it's served like as a family style so that everyone grabs from the middle. We have falafels, hummus. This is another form of couscous, but it's made from barley. And one of my favorite sauces is in here. It's called amlu, and it's made from um, almost like an almond butter, almond paste, and the argan oil, and it's just delicious. And then this is what camel meat looks like. So we have camel meat, which just looks like and tastes like roast beef. And then we have figs and hard boiled eggs. And you may not have utensils at the table, but you definitely have bread. And so this flat bread is used to kind of grab the meat off of it with the bread. So then that way you have some way to eat it. And every meal starts with all of these snacks, cookies, figs, cashews, cookies, smoothies, and then you have about two or three, four courses. It kind of depends on how many plates are stacked in front of you. And then, of course, it always ends with a display of fruit with the knives pointing out so that way you can and cut the fruit if you want it. Okay, I always say the one of the main things I learned from Morocco is how to be a good host. So, above all, you want to be a good host. So, the first thing is that you have to pour tea, and you have to pour it really high so that the foam on the top of the tea, um, you can see the foam. And I'll show you later someone who can pour it from really high as well. Okay, another way, this is pouring the tea down here. This is an indigenous person from the Sahara, and he is pouring the tea. And then you can also be greeted with camel's milk, dates, and almonds. And this is how most of the houses are set up. So this is my friend Miriam's house, and all along the walls you have the couches um, that can also turn into beds if people need to stay over, and every room is like this. And then when we were at her house, her dad, as you can see, is serving everyone tea. After we had the whole meal, we also had pancakes and croissants and some brownies and all kinds of treats. But all he did was he kind of brought out one of the carpets outside, and we brought out some of the cushions from the couches around the living room and pillows, and we just kept the party going outside. So it's definitely an entertaining culture. This was in a tent with some live music, where they have a charcoal grill over here. Same tent. And so you can see people are kind of relaxed after the meal, that they can lean back on pillows or the couches that are there. These are just different rooms. Every room has the couch around the side. Sometimes they have the tile, which is really beautiful too. And another part of hosting is the gift giving. So these are student gifts that this student embroidered our name and the Moroccan flag on a handkerchief for us. This student's mom made us dresses, and we didn't even meet her. She just sent them with him to school. You also have to be really careful about compliments, because I complimented one girl's bracelets, and they just took them off and gave them to me. So it's kind of it's a thing that they love to share. And then, in kind of to return the favor, so we met with the Department of Agriculture in in Gelmim in southern Morocco. And so I had taken these bags from here. So it's like Tractor Supply, FFA, all kinds of agricultural themed gifts for them as well, which was fun. Okay, the role of women in Morocco. So first of all, this I love watching her pour tea from way above her head. Um, but the role of women in Morocco is very interesting. Women and men have different roles. Also, I thought that I assumed that women had to wear the headscarf or the hijab, which is not true. Women definitely have a choice. And this is just kind of a picture I took when we were eating. If you look, it's all men around, and then myself and another teacher, the US teacher that was traveling with me. Sometimes we would bring the principal's daughter, a younger daughter, with us, but for the most part we all ate with men, and then the women ate separately. So if you have a meal where people are eating couscous or eating out of the center plate, then the man will take the plate to the women. But because we were Americans, we ate with the men, which is very kind of interesting for me. And I was really happy to be able to talk with other women. So this is the principal's wife and three of his four daughters. This is the other US teacher from New York. And basically, what we asked him was, we said, could we just have a normal family dinner and not separate by genders? And so this is the group that we dressed up. We had snacks and dancing, and it was just a really great night. And you can see this daughter has decided to wear the headscarf like her mom, and this daughter has decided not to wear the headscarf. So it's just interesting that they have choices. Um, the women, some of the students were doing henna for our hands, and it was incredibly talented. And then this picture I just threw in here because I thought it was funny. The stoplights, you have to kind of go up really far to the stoplight, and so you can't tell if it's turned green. So the principal and my host teacher just said, well, we just wait for the person behind us to honk the horn. And I just happened to look around, and I was like, what do you do if it's a donkey? Because there was a donkey cart behind us. So I just thought that was funny. Okay, so this is the end of my pictures. I applied for this project or this Fulbright Teachers for Global Classrooms because I wanted to kind of humanize the other. So I didn't want my students to be afraid of someone just because they didn't know anything about them. And I also wanted them to see that I'm still learning. I can still learn about other cultures. I can still learn different languages. It was very interesting for me. I asked to be out of my comfort zone. I asked to be placed in an area where I did not know the language because I needed to be back where my students are when they come into my classroom. So it was a very humbling experience. I'm still unpacking all kinds of lessons and ideas and stories that I learned, and I just keep bringing them into my classroom so that my students can also learn a personalized story instead of the scary stories that they hear on the media. So I put this quote here, never stop learning because life never stops teaching. I kind of feel like that's my motto. And this was for my presentation where I went this past summer to Guatemala, again, to learn more about a culture that I could bring back to my classroom. If you have any questions, you can email me. I also have several contacts in Morocco that you could set up a video chat with the other student or a teacher if you're interested. So thank you. Shukran.